All right, everybody. Hey, I'm going to do another tip section, and I think I did this one because I realized how this is one of the most confusing parts of the game. It's the drone updates, right? So the reason I think it's confusing is there's four parts to the drone, right? So let's go over the drone parts and see if we could get a feel of them here, right? Um, there's there's what's called drone parts. Though that's this little icon here, right? Then there's drone data chips, data points, right? And then there's skill chips, and there's components, right? So four elements to the drone, right? And the reason is I'm going over this is it's important for your VS updates to really remember which one is which, right? So take for example today, right? You get points for every drone part you use, and points for every skill chip, and points for every data point. But you don't get points for components. That's another day. So this is Monday, so it is not the right day to open up. I'm not even going to touch them, but if you see this second row, these are all called drone components. So opening these chests you don't want to do. You only want to open in the VS day. You're not going to deal with these chests at all. You're just going to do everything else. So let's go through it here. So I'm in my VS. I've got like around almost 5 million points. So remember, we're just not going to deal with the components. We're going to do everything else. So remember, we're going to use the drone parts that's here, right? Now that was one drone part. You see my VS went up. I could do another one. Cool. So now I'm kind of maxed here, right? But luckily I used up all my drone parts and I got to the next level. So now I could unload on these data points, right? And this is where you could really help your alliance win a VS day if you've packed these, right? Sometimes it's good to say only use a certain amount, because if maybe next week on VS day I want to save a little to use next week. But I'm just kind of unloading here for the sake of this tutorial to show how diesel I am and how great of a player I am just by clicking these buttons. I'm no farmer. I'm a warrior. I'm building war machines by clicking here. Anyway, we went through our drone parts. We went through our combat data points. Remember, we're not going to do the components. These should stay the same, but we're going to do the skill chips. So this is an interesting menu. So what you can do here is if you have certain boxes, you could open them. But I don't have any to open right now. I already opened them earlier, sorry, I just couldn't wait. The interesting point about here is what chips to upgrade. Now my ultimate plan is obviously this isn't a very strong chip on the left here, and all the other ones are, right? So you kind of have these choices, which ones do I level up and how much? And I don't know if there's a great formula for this, but if you look at this, you see I'm getting some drone HP here and some drone attack there. And if you look over here and I use the same amount of chips, right? I'm just using the quick select, right? If I use roughly the same amount of chips, I get a little less, but that's because this one started higher. So I'm kind of choosing between do I balance them all evenly or do I pick one really good weapon? I don't know. Just it sounds good to go with the weapons, right? I don't know. Someone will probably correct me if I'm wrong, but let's just do that. So I'm just going to use these. I didn't use the other purple chips here. I'm thinking I may combine them later, so I just left them on the side. Let's see what happens. So I did all that stuff, so I've pretty much done all my drone stuff here. So let's see what it looks like. Okay, well I got myself, I think I was at 5.7 million. I got to a cool 10 million. So I've got all my VS chests for the day. And drones are a big part of your power, right? The good part about drones is, this wasn't really going to be a drone power tutorial, but the good part about the drones is obviously they work for every squad. So my power was, hanging around 18. I can't see because this little bar is in my way. You can't see it, it's my recording screen. But I've definitely got up maybe to 18. I'm 8 now. I might have been 18.75 earlier. So that drone is a big deal, and it's on every squad. Remember, that drone is on every squad. There is a kind of trick to that, truthfully, which is if you buy chips, you could have multiple drone sets. So let me see, I don't remember, I haven't even done it in a while. But if you look over here, right, there's actually set 1, set 2. So you could have multiple presets. Like you could have a drone for your heli squad and a drone for your tank squad. I haven't really gotten too far. I haven't done one for my heli squad yet. That's probably my next thing to do. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. The thing I wanted to cover was the drone upgrades, and to rehash it, on Mondays you do everything but the components, right? So these components you wouldn't expect to change. You don't update those chests. You do everything else. If you need a little more points, like if you're really trying to push to win a VS, you could always go into the store and you could buy some drone combat data points. You could buy the parts in here too. You can't really buy a lot of parts, but you could sure buy a lot of, I mean, you can see down here, right? You could buy like a ton of these, right? And they're pretty cheap reasonably, and you could just pound and really, go back, and you could keep pushing on your VS. If you really want to win your weeklies, you could just keep going, right? So that's that. So remember, Mondays, you use the chips, you use the parts, you use the data points, but not the components. That's another day, and that's my tutorial. Good luck. Keep getting stronger.